The PlayAction podcast is fueled by Picasso's Pizza, where every night is pizza night.
The Buffalo Bills had an unexpected retirement this week. We'll talk about depth on the offensive line and how much of an issue we think it is.
The Bills got the 23-19 win over the Colts in their first game of the preseason, but we'll evaluate some of the individual performances and what we're still looking for moving forward.
And there were some big August moves in the AFC East. We'll talk about the continued arms race within the division. The PlayAction podcast starts now.
It is August 15th, and we have our first retirement of the season, actually, for the Buffalo Bills. Today, offensive tackle Brandon Shell retired at age 31, middle of the preseason. I guess sometimes when you know. But Mark, considering the O-line depth, what does this mean to you?
Yeah, I think it's a blip. It's more than a blip on the radar in my eyes. Shell has 72 starts. He was practicing as the number 2 right tackle. Obviously, right tackle is a position that's on everyone's mind with the hope that Spencer Brown is going to take a leap forward after a tough second season, which he had some legitimate excuses there, having had back surgery all off season, basically no spring and no training camp. But I viewed Shell as a very competent potential backup, a veteran. This leaves David Quessenberry as clearly right now, the number 3 offensive tackle. I don't have a huge amount of faith in Quessenberry. Tremendous respect for Quessenberry, but I don't think he played great last year in a pinch. And Quessenberry, it should be stated, was the number 2 left tackle. Shell, not to overstate his presence, he really wasn't going to be the number 2 left tackle. Shell is strictly right tackle. So this puts more eggs into the Spencer Brown basket. And I think while I think they're great at right tackle, depth is amazing. They have 4 starting caliber four starting caliber guards. The offensive tackle depth is a worry.
Yeah, and I will note there were a couple times throughout training camp that I saw Brandon Shaw staying after a bit to talk to younger guys on that O-line to kind of go over stuff with them. Didn't get to know him super well while he was here, but definitely noticed him talking to younger guys who were staying after to try to learn more. So you mentioned that veteran presence on top of all the depth as well. You want someone to take rookies under the wing a little bit. But yeah, I think while they did address the offensive line some this offseason, still some questions there for depth.
And one guy I didn't mention, Tommy Doyle, who is kind of the number 4 tackle. I kind of like Tommy Doyle as a prospect, but he right now is 10 months removed from knee surgery. For the opener, he'll be 11 months removed from knee surgery. This helps his prospects for making the roster. The other tackles are Vandemark and the rookie Garage from the University of Florida. Tommy Doyle had a little bit of a scare in the preseason game, but came back and played, and he practiced today. It's really Quessenberry is their swing tackle now. And it really makes it clear that, you talk about the most indispensable people on the roster. Obviously, Josh Allen is number 1. Stephon Diggs is 2, but Deion Dawkins is 3. Indispensable. It's got to work Spencer Brown's got to pan out here.
Yeah, so that was the big news on Tuesday of the retirement. But practice itself, lots of news there as well. It was a little more heated than anything I've seen this training camp into preseason. Guys were getting after it a little bit, had to be separated sometimes. So after practice, we all talked to Josh Allen, who said, that's good. You want those competitive juices flowing. It would be a problem if it's the opposite. But I think just kind of notable that, seeing that those tempers flare today, middle of the week between preseason games. I agree that it's nothing major. I think Josh downplayed it a little bit, but he is still right that you want some of that. But just interesting to notice at practice today.
Yeah, and guys, frustration when things aren't going well too. So, but that's what practice is for. So, something to keep an eye on. Okay, the Bills have one exhibition game in the books. Number 2 is coming up this Saturday against the Pittsburgh Steelers, which means we will be more than halfway through exhibition football. Yay! Exhibition football is more about individual assessments, individual one-on-one assessments than sort of the team picture. But Katherine, who were some people you were looking at in the Colts game who we should have some scrutiny on going forward here against Pittsburgh this week?
Yeah, so the Bills got the win, but to your point, it's not really always the team results as much as it is individual play. I thought seeing the backup quarterbacks was interesting. Each had 15 attempts. Kyle Allen, who started, had 8 completions, an interception, and no touchdowns. He was pulled after that interception. And then Matt Barkley, 14 completions, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Now, obviously, the guys they were going up against were a little different, which string of the Colts they were playing. But that was something Sean McDermott had talked about the week before the game, about if he's seeing enough out of those backup quarterbacks. And after the game, he was asked if that's an open competition. And he said yes, was very firm on that. So I think you want to see a little more out of Kyle Allen there. What was fun was we learned that Josh Allen called some of the plays for Matt Barkley. He talked about that at practice this week, saying he believes Barkley was 6 of 6 during plays that he called. Obviously only missed once all day, so I don't think we need to worry about Josh jumping right to OC right now. But, got to put on his coach's hat for a bit, was doing a bit of breakdown afterwards of, hey, Matt, here's why I called this play in this situation. So Josh Allen got some out of it too, but I think there's still, that's something to watch, that backup quarterback competition.
Yeah, I know. I think it is a legitimate question and a legitimate concern. Are they good enough at number 2 quarterback? I mean, obviously, what we're talking about here is, if Josh Allen is gone for an extended period of time, it's, forget about it. But, you want 4 or 5 week absence. Can the backup keep the ship afloat? That's what we're talking about. So Kyle Allen clearly, doesn't have the physical tools of a Mitch Trubisky. He doesn't have the experience or production of Case Keenum. I'm not ready to pull the plug on him because I think he has a little more escapability than Matt Barkley. But clearly, he's got to perform, and we'll see how he does in the next 2. He's going to get plenty of chance in the next 2 exhibitions.
Right. And still to be talking about the backup quarterback competition is, a luxury compared to some teams. Mark, What were some of your other takeaways from that preseason game against the Colts?
I thought Greg Rousseau, I liked the snaps that I saw from him. Granted, Braden Smith wasn't their regular right tackle. The Colts wasn't playing. It was their rookie, Blake Freeland, from BYU, I believe. But Rousseau really looked good. Poona Ford stood up, the Colts starting center. Ryan Kelly won nice on a run stuff. Tim Settle and Boogie Basham had some good snaps against backups. I thought Latavius Murray looked like a pro. I thought Cyrus Torrance had a couple, good power run blocks. Special teams, interesting to me. Saran Neal is just a mainstay on special teams, and they have to replace their gunner because Tywan Jones is no longer on the team, and Christian Benford was the first gunner with Saran Neal on punt coverage or on punt returns. On punt coverage. Sorry about that. The second team gunners were Kyer Elam and Justin Shorter. So how they sort that out is a position to keep watching. Anyway, some interesting plays by some backup wide receivers too.
Yeah, Christian Benford, to your point, had a nice play on one of those, and he's looked good in practice as well. So I think that's nice to see as they look into replacing Taiwan there. And then now they've got the Steelers coming up. Obviously, all of this comes in with the caveat of this is preseason, but is there anyone you have your eye on for that, Mark?
The Steelers have a good defense. So this is going to be a real test for the Bills offense. I mean, the Steelers defense is top 10 for sure. Top 5, probably. I'd put them in the top 5 if they're fully healthy. So which they should be. So this is going to be a good test for the Bills offense, regardless. Starters, second string, third string. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I think I'll be keeping an eye on some of those ongoing battles. Middle linebacker has shifted a bit as Terrell Bernard has a hamstring injury. Not sure the exact timeline on that, but then that cornerback 2 rotation still. Dane Jackson had a great interception and then was done for the day against the Colts. So be interesting to see just kind of how they mix those guys in come preseason game 2. Now, as fun as it is to talk about the preseason, the exhibition games, the Bills will eventually play real games, many of them against the AFC East, who's had some interesting moves lately in trying to, teams keep up there. As a reminder, the Bills start the season against the Jets, and then they play Miami week 4 as well. So, Mark, let's go through some of these moves lately that division rivals have made.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a crazy arms race in the AFC East. And it has been for the last, year. So the Jets signing Dalvin Cook off the street from formerly of Minnesota, and New England signing Ezekiel Elliott, 2 elite running backs. In my eyes, the Dalvin Cook signing is the much bigger of the 2. I mean, this is a guy with 4 straight 1,000-yard seasons. He's averaged 42 catches over the last 5 years. I mean, it gives them a lot of insurance with Breece Hall coming back, from major knee surgery. And I kind of wasn't counting on Breece Hall playing in the opener anyway. So it's just sort of adding Cook. Replacing Breece Hall is the same. They're both great. I actually think I think Breece Hall is even better, which is saying a mouthful and is maybe a stretch. But I mean, it's a great addition for the Jets. They are all in, and it makes sense. They've got Aaron Rodgers, so they are all in on Aaron Rodgers, and the Jets are loaded. And they are, I mean, they're the Bills are the 3-time defending champion. But if you think Aaron Rodgers still is an MVP caliber player, which I do, they're a 50-50. They're even odds, in my eyes, with the Bills to win the division.
There were reports from the media who covered the Jets that Aaron Rodgers did not have his best day on Tuesday. But to your point, there's still a lot he can do on the field. I'll be so interested to see what they look like first week 1 and then later in the season, how they evolve. But to jump back to the running backs, our colleague Ryan O'Halloran is writing about that this week. Make sure to check it out in the Buffalo News. But Eric Washington was asked by Ryan about that today, and he was saying that the Bills' defensive line really accepts the challenge of taking away that element of an offense. And Washington went on to say that because of the system, the talent, the mindset, he's very confident, even while acknowledging that they will face some excellent determined backs this season. So they know what they're up against, but sound still confident so far.
Yeah, so it's an art, like we said. It's going to be a lot on the plate of the Bills' defensive line to win the line of scrimmage, and to try to keep the Jets in week 1 from not having too many easy third down situations. Then you go to the Patriots signing Ezekiel Elliott. That is less of a significant move because the issue with the Patriots is explosiveness in the passing game. we presumed they were going to be a pretty good running team with Ramondre Stevenson. Now they get Ezekiel Elliott. He's good. It's a good addition, good. But, the weakness for the Patriots is passing. Zeke averaged, his yards per carry dropped to 3.8 last year. He's a 4-time 1,000-yard player. He'll turn -2s into 3-yard gains all the time. So he helps, but he doesn't address their big question mark, which is, do they have enough juice in the passing game?
Now that game against the Patriots still a ways off, but between now and then, we'll have so much coverage for y'all, starting with the rest of this week at practice back at Orchard Park, and then the preseason game against the Steelers. So make sure you subscribe to wherever you get your podcasts and keep reading on buffalonews.com as well.
Treat your team to the most flavorful pizza on game day at Picasso's Pizza. 4 great Western New York locations: Williamsville, West Seneca, Lancaster, and Blaisdell. Picasso's. We are Buffalo's Pizza since 1980. Order online today at picassospizza.net.